Pancho the God, man. Y'all already know, man. My favorite teacher, man, Bobby Hemmett, man.
Which means when you go home, it ain't gonna be like it was when you was originally there. Also, it means in the Grail mythology, they talk about the hero of the head root, which is you going on a journey to find your true self. And when you cross a bridge, the bridge immediately disappears behind you, which means you can't go back to that which you came from. You got to go on to get the prize. So the problem is with the slave is we was hit in the head, or even the African, which is from colonization. He's thinking that he either want to get with the white man, or he's thinking at best when he does his own thing that he needs to return back to that in which he used to be. But it's not about that. You can never go home. You got to go on to the end of the rainbow and get the pot of gold, which is the new Jerusalem, or the new you. And anything leading to against that, your spirit is going to whip your ass. Because you entered on this course, and sooner or later, you got to fulfill it. Or your spirit will whip your behind if you just talk about ulterior motives. For whom much is given, much is required. So one thing about knowledge is when your eyes are open, you immediately become the suffering Messiah. That's what the word suffering Messiah means. It means a people whose eyes are open in a world that is contradictory to them and against them. And not only that, they have to go through suffering knowing that their people don't want to know this shit. And that's the real heartache. That's what the suffering Messiah comes. When your eyes are open and you know a certain knowledge and information, and you love, and because you love your people and you want to just tell them about this great news, and they don't want nothing to do with it, they will rather spit in your face than to hear the truth, that's when you start suffering. So the Gospel of Thomas that was dug up in 1945 says that when you seek for wisdom, may you find the wisdom. And when you find the wisdom, you will be troubled. But when you are troubled by what you see, rejoice because the kingdom of God is within, is at hand. So this knowledge did not come about in this time, this dispensation of time, for us not to redeem everything which is supposed to be redeemed. It's here now because it's time for it now, and it's time to get up out of this shit. So on the other hand, we're going through this suffering now because it's time. Let me give you a scenario on what I'm talking about. The white boy, all he had to do to keep all of us dead was to just pay all the niggas off. All black people wanted was a good place to live, a car to drive, and some money in the bank. He could have paid all the black people off 10 times over. And he would have had us suppressed for years. As a matter of fact, you wouldn't be able to tell a person that the white man wasn't shit. Life would have been too good. So for the mere fact he gave us his ass to kiss within the last 10 years, meaning that's all a part of the divine plan. Because he showed you he didn't love you after all, after the 60s of trying to fool you to think he did. We went through the 70s. By 1979, you couldn't tell a black person this white man wasn't shit. But since we woke up in about the mid-80s, he come to find out in late 80s that he was still the same devil he always was. And he didn't love you anyway. It let us look for alternative solutions. And we found ourselves. Well, it don't mean the masses. The masses have never done anything but died. You'll see, this is African science. Always remember when you see the masses does not represent what's going down. The masses ain't nothing but cattle. This is African science.
Remember I told y'all we ain't nothing but cattle.
You will see a circle with a dot in the middle. The circle represents the masses. This is not the energy. The energy is the nucleus. It is only the nucleus that has the power to generate the masses. So it doesn't matter whether they don't get it. They're not supposed to get it. It is the nucleus is supposed to get it because this is what's going to generate the masses. Let me give an example. In the 1960s, we was trained that we needed mass movements. So we did all this mass movement shit. And by the 1970s, when the crackers started issuing out the money, we went to running. And all the black leaders and revolutionaries was walking around with their head cut off and going crazy. That's because they was thinking that our rise was going to be based on the masses. And the masses ain't shit. The masses ain't never did anything but died. In the movie Men in Black, the guy, Will Smith said, won't you tell the people about the aliens? He said, people can handle it, they are smart. He said, no, people are dumb. Individuals are smart. All the masses of the people want is some Kellogg's cornflakes, some food, and some place to sleep. And they will, and some sex, and they will beg to be slaves if you take that shit away from them. Take away his house and his car, and he'll beg to be a damn slave.
And I just wanted to drop that on y'all, man. Punch on the God.